Good morning. Welcome to the TriStar Wincom webinar. Today, what we're going to do is to show you a little bit of the new features that we've been recently working on and developing in order to put 3D visualization online. So, TriStar and Wincom have a long-term partnership, and we've been building Windchill solutions for many years for our customers, very successfully, from all sorts of domains, from using things like promotions, adding user interfaces, integrations to ERP systems. More recently, what we've been doing is having a development activity which is focused on augmenting these solutions to add 3D. What does that mean? Well, it means that, okay, we have Creo, we have authoring tools, we have Windchill, but now there's been a whole range of developments in the world of online open source tools that allow us to do some very powerful things with our 3D models that were never previously possible. And what we've been doing is developing a platform in order to see if we can take this new technology, these new ideas, and put them online and see what we can do with those in order to provide new solutions for our customers. We have all sorts of different architectural options here as well. But first of all, I wanted to take you a little bit through the history of where we've been and where we're going to and what we have to come. So the first point here is we have something new. What new is called WebGL. It's basically the fact that all the modern browsers, all the Firefox or Chrome or Internet Explorer, all have an option for us to be able to build powerful 3D applications online. What does that mean? Well, it means that no more plugins, no more third-party applications, no more proprietary software. The graphics card of your machine and displaying these 3D models can be done fantastically well within the browser itself. So the other thing that happened is that the browsers support this, and in the same time, the open source world has been doing all sorts of activity in 3D, a lot of it around the games. A lot of your children will play 3D games in the browsers. But the backbone to this is a whole set of open source solutions that allow us to build some very powerful mechanisms of displaying a large amount of data in our browsers. So we have open source community building some fantastic tools to put 3D online. We have standards which allow us to do things with WebGL which are fantastically easy to implement from the point of view of a developer, as opposed to how it was before when you'd need a team of developers working behind you. Now, with a few developers, we can build some really powerful applications. And the final thing is it's all standard. So once we have all of this, we have some things which is quite impressive. The 3D games and these things now also allow us to do stuff like put on models which are tens of thousands of models of meshes, we call those, which allow us to put real engineering data online. And what we've been doing over the last few months is developing our platform, and we've finally released that platform, and we've started to build some demonstrators. We're now engaging with some customers, and what we're going to do now is show you some real-world applications of this engagement with our customers to see what we're actually going to start to build. Now, I want to be really clear here. This is an example. So all we're doing here is showing you one of our customers. We showed them our technology, we showed them what we can do, and they've come forward and say, I have this problem, I want you to solve it. What we're looking for a little bit in this webinar is to have some feedback from our customer base to say, what other problems could we start to solve with this? What other things would a 3D solution be useful for? So the first thing is to introduce you to something called the Wincom EAP platform. What is this? Well, you can see it looks very much like most websites with a login screen in the middle. The fundamental part about this is it's not Windchill. The main use case for this is it's an external server. We call it a zero maintenance server. It has no database. It has no persistent storage. What it's doing is putting a window on one or more systems in order to aggregate information. The primary purpose that Wincom and TriStar use for this is to display statistical information or information that's held currently in Windchill. So if you have a look at the first screen, you can see that in this particular setup, and we can configure it in many different ways, but in this particular setup, we have some graphs and tables which are actively, dynamically, in real time, pulling data out of Windchill. What does that mean? Well, it means that it's actually back-end using Query Builder, passing it a set of parameters, and allowing us to display this. But the interesting thing about this is we know that this isn't for engineers. This is not for the engineering department. This is for people outside the engineering department to have access to the hidden world of engineers in order for them to have simple and clean access to all the data in engineering. So here we can see dynamically in real time how many parts were cancelled or created, or the history, or the parts as they're being created, what kind of activities are going on. And this is our traditional mechanism for displaying information living inside a Windchill system in this external platform. Over time, we've built tools like this, which is called Data View. We've also built other tools which allow us to display things like tasks. Customers come to us and basically ask us to build new applications. So over time, we've also built other applications. This is a very neat, clean searching application that allows you to search your Windchill system for access to information. You can also see that there's customers. We have a large defense customer that came in with a specific import requirement. And so we built some very clean and simple Excel importing with tools. We build, so far there's around 20 different modules on this platform, and this platform is continuously being upgraded and improved and having new features added to it. This is our platform. This is our external app platform, connected to Windchill, not part of Windchill, allowing us to bring information dynamically from Windchill, but also from other sources. And what we've done is added a brand new feature to this, and this is to take the 3D models. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the 3D models. The 3D models live in Creo. That's where they're created. That's the author tool. They may be created by CATIA. It could be created by any one of the 3D authoring tools, and they're stored in Windchill. We are not, in this case, dynamically accessing Windchill to get the model. What we've done is built an architecture which allows us to export the models as they get to a certain level of maturity. We export the model itself, i.e. the CAD structure and all the CAD data. We then send it through our own optimizers, and those optimizers reduce the geometry complication down into something much simpler. We remove a lot of information. We have a lot of choices about how much information to remove and how to basically group the model. And this allows us to put it into a standard online web format, which is lightweight and very fast. At the same time, we will export a whole series of metadata from Windchill, which gives us a great deal of information about things like the reference to Windchill. We can export the PDFs. We can export a whole series of metadata about this model. Once we have that in our repository outside Windchill, we build these interfaces. And the first interface that we've chosen to build based on a requirement for a customer is our 3D ordering. So to give you a little bit of background on this, this customer themselves have a problem. They make large machines. Those machines are unique to each one of their customers. They're delivered, so it's a classic build to order scenario here. They build those customers, and those machines are multi-million-dollar machines that clearly will need servicing and reparation. And the customers will order consumables, wear parts, and quite frequently actually order replacement parts to be replaced on site on those machines. The biggest problem they have is to try to identify which one of the parts needs to be repaired. And for what they have digital twins, so they have a digital representation of each one of the machines they supply to their customer. And what they wanted to be able to do is to put the whole machine, the digital twin, online, which is exactly what you're seeing here. This is the most simple model that we put on. So in this particular demo, we put 4 models exported from Windchill online, and we put them into this interface. One of the key things you should understand is that these models were originally Creo models, but now are translated into this WebGL-like format and then put into this tool. What we're not doing is trying to do a one-size-fits-all for all of the different applications. What we're going to be doing is building, which is a classic Wincom TriStar mechanism of working, is doing a build to order ourselves. We can use all of the different mechanisms we have, like the 3D, like the PDF viewers, and build applications to suit each individual purpose. When we do this build to order, fixed price, and with all this new technology, which is much simpler than it used to be, we can offer this kind of service very fast. So let me show you a little bit about technology. So this technology here is quite simple. We have a little model, okay? So, and you can see it's extremely fast. It moves fast, it's very interactive. In this case, we've chosen not to put any controls on the panel to make it even simpler for the customer to use. And what we're doing is just giving them the mechanism to interrogate this model. And as you can see here, we can click around and isolate parts on the model, and we can then interrogate the model. We had a couple of controls here to help us to understand the different types of parts. We have certain activities going on now in this project to help us to see what other kind of controls the customer will want. Everything is built to order. So the kind of controls the customer wants over here, whether they want in 3D interaction tools, whether they want a tree on the left-hand side, all of this built to order and built specifically the customer specification. So to recap, we are now working on a set of data that has been exported from Windchill, a set of data that is optimized to be worked on the web. But equally, what we have here is a connection back to Windchill. We logged into Windchill in this particular case. And in this particular case, you can see that as I click on a part, I have instant access to the part in the thumbnail. This information is being pulled directly from Windchill. And at the same time, we're sending requests off to the ERP system to pull information to aggregate the data together. So just to prove this, you can see at the top here, there's a link to Windchill. So as I said, we've exported the data, but we've held the references back to the original source data. So therefore, I can click on the link, and in this particular case, we will go directly into Windchill itself and have access to the structure, the related links, everything else. It's unlikely that in the build-to-order system, you'll give your access to your customers directly to your Windchill, and you may, in order to have a system online which isn't connected to Windchill, have it completely separated. But we have the options to do that. We have the options to connect our system to the Windchill ERP, to separate it. We can build pretty much whatever we like. And this is kind of what excites us, because we have a lot of tools now to build these solutions fast and quick. We don't need any special technology to do this. This is not any proprietary technology. This is open source technology built outside the PLM system, but connected to and pulling information, if needed, from the PLM system and ERP system. Let's have a look at something a little bit more complicated. As you can tell, this is only a few hundred pieces, so nothing which is going to tax anything. So let me show you something a little bit more sophisticated. This is a molding machine, and the molding machine has around 2,500 pieces. I think you'll see that it actually arrived on the screen very fast. And one of the things I think would be interesting for our users is everything you see me doing here. After the demonstration, after the webinar, you can go and log in yourself and actually access this data and play exactly the same way as I've done here yourselves. So again, another model. This time, Windchill identified certain attributes to the parts. So we're looking at the part structure and the CAD structure. The CAD structure is using to display it, but the part structure is being used to identify the specific attributes of various elements, such as the wear parts here. You can see I can move a 2000 model structure very fast. It is almost imperceptibly moving across the screen, and we, with the full optimization, can do huge models on this. We should be able to put an entire tractor, potentially even an entire aeroplane or helicopter straight into this interface. A lot of it, that speed depends on how we optimize the model, and this optimization is optimization for purpose. So if we're doing 3D ordering, we don't need an engineering perfect model. We need a model that is almost perfect as far as the user can see, but we've reduced the complexity down. If you look very carefully at some of these structures here, they're not rendered perfectly, and that's because by doing this we can then put a huge performance on the system. So just to have a little look around, we've chosen to do a few of these very neat little things like transparency, highlighting. we have the capabilities with these engines that we're using to do virtually what we like in terms of visualization and access to the data. So let's have a little look around on this particular application. So on this one, what we've done is done a little bar on the left-hand side. We've chosen not to do a tree. The reason we chose not to do a tree is because we felt that in this particular case, that would be too complex for the customer. What they need is a very simple searching or accessing mechanism where they can search perhaps the parts. The parts aren't particularly well described here, but in a real world scenario, you'd have a lot more information. They're also manually selecting the parts, as you've seen in the screen, where the information is being directly analyzed. And this is the simplest interface. Simplicity is our goal here. We're just trying to choose and get an interface that can go online and can be simply navigated by the users. At the same time, we have other interfaces behind the scenes that we're building that allow people to aggregate information, augment the information, so that they can put views on the models and views on the structures, so that the engineers can create more sophisticated views, so that the user can use those in the online system without having to have detailed engineering knowledge. Interestingly, as it happens with all our projects, is we went to the customer with this as a first idea, and immediately once we had an appraisal within the customer itself, they said 3D is what is the exciting, interesting thing, but you can't forget our 2D. Our 2D is where our electrical schematics are. Our 2D is where a lot of our drawing still exists. And if you're going to present people 3D, you must also give them access to 2D. So that's what we've done here. We've joined all the two things together, exporting both the 3D models, plus we're exporting the 2D schematics. In this case, we are integrating it with a classic Wincom component, which is watermarking. So the user not only has it watermarked, but the user, whoever looks at this PDF, will have it watermarked with the date and time they looked at it and who it was. So you can have very close tracking of your intellectual property. And in this particular case, you can see that we have access in a very clean interface to 2D, 3D, and in a use case, in this case, the customer may choose a particular part, hit add to order, and we're going to be tracking the orders and sending with a single button place the order to the ERP system. So let's go back again. 3D, 2D, combining all the heritage of TriStar Wincom applications into a neat external solution. It may be connected to Windchill, it may not be connected to Windchill. Those options are totally definable when and if and when the customers start to ask exactly what their requirement is. We are not going to build one product that fits all, because in this space where you're trying to put customer-facing applications, you must have them designed to meet your specific needs. Otherwise, they simply won't ever fulfill your goals. So let's go back to the application here. So let's go back to our presentation, and let's just recap a little bit on the standards. I think we covered this. We covered that it's fast, it's easy to use. I do recommend everyone to log in. Just take 5 minutes to wander around the interface. If you can't use it in 5 minutes, we've done something wrong. We have some very sophisticated geometry optimization engines that allow us to take some very heavy models of gigabytes of data down to a few megabytes of data to make them applicable to be rendered quickly and fast on the integration. We can integrate with PLM, ERP. We can do all of those things. Give you some idea, that project we're looking at there, which is that project for a 3D ordering project, for us, we'll from start to finish, we estimate will take around 3 months from start to finish. So putting together what used to be a year's worth of work with the platform and optimization we put in place has suddenly gone down to weeks or months, which makes it interesting. It makes it interesting because now we need problems. And the problems are coming thick and fast. We're starting to work with customers about how they can do configurators, so how they can do online configuration of their products in 3D. Is that possible? Can we make it fast? Can we make it adaptable? And the answer to these questions is yes, and we're starting to work on those. The application we just showed you there was part ordering. We have people asking us to do things like shop floor design review and shop floor review of parts. Those are a series of things that we want to achieve with this technology, and we're very excited about it. And so the purpose of this webinar was to introduce our customer base a little bit to what we're trying to do, to get a little bit of feedback, to help understand something about the solutions and this new world of taking technologies that may have started in the startup world, technologies that started in the gaming world, technologies that are maturing fast in how we build online solutions, and saying it's no longer a mystery. We can build these solutions for you. We are not selling you a tool. We are not selling you all of these technologies. We are selling you solutions. So what we're trying to say to you is, if you come to us with a problem, if you come to us, we now have an armory of capabilities at our disposal, and we can build to order your solutions in a very cost-effective and fast way. And that's what we want to do for our customers. Thank you very much for listening to this webinar. I hope it's been interesting for you. If you have any questions, please contact your TriStar representative, and we will be very, very happy to talk to you. And if you want a special one-on-one meeting, we can talk about your requirements. We want to learn as much from our customers because we know that this brave new world is something that we can approach, but we need a lot of help learning to understand what's these good problems to approach and how to approach them. So thank you very much, and look forward to hearing from you all.